We are live. Welcome into the Barton Insurance Group Titan post-game show. A heartbreaker for the Tennessee Titans as they fall to the Los Angeles Chargers 17-14 off of a last-second field goal. The Titans fought tooth and nail to get back into this game and tie the game up at 14 apiece late in the game. But it was Justin Herbert down the sidelines to Mike Williams that put them in field goal range, and Dicker, the kicker, knocks it through. And the Chargers, a much-needed win for them in the AFC, not what the Titans need, as another loss goes on the L column, as they say, for the 507-7 Tennessee Titans. Welcome in. I am Zach Bingham. He is Sam Phelan, our Titans reporter. We're going to break this down live in our Barton Insurance Group Titan post-game show. We got to thank all of our sponsors all game day long, including the Barton Insurance Group, but also Mr. Goodroof, Buddy Allen Carpet One, the official title sponsor of our pregame show, Crumble Cookies, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and our friends at BetMGM. Download the app today. Use the promo code ATOZ Sports. You get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. Sam, give me your initial reaction over the last 3 minutes of play. You know, the Titans, 14 seconds was the only seconds that went off the clock, and the defense did exactly what they needed to do to get the ball back. Titans offense goes down with a big play by Chig. They get into the end zone, but then the Chargers backdoor with a field goal to end it, 17-14, as the Chargers beat the Titans. How do you feel?
Frustrated. I mean, it was an ugly game, and it was exactly kind of what I thought might happen, what I feared might happen when we talked at the halftime show. And this lazy Titans offense, lazy Titans play calling in the second half puts them in a bad spot where they have to go down the field. And credit to Ryan Tannehill, credit to Chig Okonkwo and everybody that stepped up down the stretch on that last drive. It was a really gutsy effort by a very tough guy in Ryan Tannehill, who has to be in a lot of pain after the amount of hits that he took, even after coming back from that injury. But it's just like, of course, Zach, like, of course you go down and you score the points, and then your defense, which has been so good in the second half to keep you in this game, gets beat for big play after big play and chunk plays on the sideline, when that's the one thing you can't do. And that seems to be like the story of this game for me, is the one thing you couldn't do is what they consistently did. They took a sack when they had 3 points, and the only thing you couldn't do was take negative yards. And then Dennis Daly gets beat off the edge, and Ryan Tannehill is hit from the blind side, and you don't score points after Randy Bullock misses a field goal. Then you do the same thing on defense to end the game. It's just so frustrating watching this team Sunday after Sunday now find ways to lose games in really embarrassing, ugly fashion. It really bad. 7-7. They don't deserve to go to the playoffs right now. I guess they're technically division leaders still, but it doesn't feel like that's going to hold up for very much longer with the way Jacksonville's trending.
Yep, they are one game up on the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're 7-7. Started the season 0-2. 2 straight losses to the Giants to open the season, and the Bills won 7 of their next 8 and have lost 4 in a row. So this is, a tale of ups and downs of the Tennessee Titans season. They fall to the Chargers. Look, I don't know where the Chargers are going to be in this scenario of the playoffs, but they fought hard, and I would, you got to credit the Chargers for giving their offense enough time to go down at the end. And, the Titans have given up 3 straight 300-yard passers, 313 for Justin Herbert. And, that last drive got him over the 300 mark. The Titans did some good things today, but we know their flaws, and we know how heavily they rely on Derrick Henry. And when you can't rely on Derrick Henry, how tough life is. Let's get the chat involved. This is immediate reaction on Barton's the Barton Insurance Group post-game show. Let's go to our one word to describe the Titans' loss to the Chargers. Get those words ready. We got a lot of fire Todd Downings. I even said, I heard in the chat and read a couple of comments saying that they were done with Vrabel after this one. I think that's a little premature in that sense. But what's one word to describe this Titans loss to the Chargers in the chat? We will read the chat. We will get to the chat. But first, want to tell you guys about our title sponsor right here at our post-game show. That's Barton Insurance Group, 615-806-1265. Barton Insurance Group, Middle Tennessee's premier insurance provider for both personal, home, and auto coverage and small to mid-sized businesses. A to Z Sports, our insurance company, is Barton Insurance Group. Me personally, my auto and home is through the Barton Insurance Group and Erie Insurance. They're one of the providers that helps us as a company and me personally to get great insurance. Barton Insurance Group, LLC.com. What separates Barton Insurance Group, they're unlike most insurance company, where Barton Insurance Group, 100% locally owned and independent insurance broker that provides dozens of insurance companies. This allows them to bring the best value to the table for both businesses like A to Z Sports and household clients like myself right here locally to Middle Tennessee. They've handled our business insurance for several years. We trust them. You should trust them. That's Barton Insurance Group, LLC.com. All right, Sam, I'm going to send you to the comment section. One word to describe the Titans' 17-14 loss to the Los Angeles Chargers.
We started out with Jordan, who says Downing. Eric says injuries. Anthony Cook just says sad. Charles says tank. Tim says typical. Kevin says predictable. CJ, identity. Sean, deflating. Major says reckless. We've got predictable. We've got expected. This is this one? I think maybe hyphenated. Season ending. Surrender. Coaching. Expected. Expected. A lot of people expecting this one. Tannehill. Demise. Lame. Injuries. Just done from Antonio here. Just done. We got depleted. We got playmakers. Unwatchable from Jarrell. Just a lot of negative energy, and it should be. Zach, here's my one word that keeps I was trying to think of another word for it. This is what keeps popping up into my head. Asinine. This was so asinine by the Titans coaching staff. It was foolish and it was dumb. And I cannot wait to hear the Mike Vrabel press conference that's coming out here maybe in the next hour. And I can't wait to speak to Mike Vrabel tomorrow about this game, because I already know what he's going to say. And I already know it's going to drive Titans fans crazy, because they do this every week. They look at the camera, look you right in your eyes and say, well, our execution on some of our drives, we just got to get into some of our drives, got to get back to our bread and butter schemes and penalties, all of this stuff. You can't point to that stuff today. Today was stupid. And it's on the Titans coaching staff. It's on Mike Vrabel just as much as it is on Todd Downing. Why is Derrick Henry off the field in third and short set scenarios? This is the worst run defense in the NFL. I don't understand this for the life of me, Zach. Why your best offensive asset against the worst run defense in the league isn't used in the scenarios that you are supposed to run the football on. You don't have an offensive line to protect Ryan Tannehill, and he's injured. He's gimpy back there. He can't run. He can't move around. He can't evade pressure, and you want to keep him healthy. And yet, 3rd and 2, back-to-back possessions in the second half, 3rd and 2. What are they doing? Dropping back, 4-step drop, looking to pass, and then punting the football away. It doesn't make sense to me. And when I look at this game, what did this game come down to? It came down to 3 possessions. Twice where you punted the football, once where you missed a field goal. You could have had points or extended drives on all of them if you would have just ran the ball and quit trying to get cute with a quarterback that can't move and an offensive line that can't block for him.
Wow, that was a lot right there, but a lot of truth. I think there's a lot of points there. My one word, I actually think this is my proudest one word of all season because I think it fits both narratives. It has double meaning. My one word is South. The team's going south. They're losing the AFC South. The Jags are creeping back up, and it looks like there's going to be one final game at the end of the season for the AFC South. This team has lost 4 in a row. The coaching hasn't improved. The offensive line hasn't improved. Everything's going south. It's not trending. And this is not what, Kevin Byard said this, after I think it was the last game of it was last week. He literally said, the trajectory of this team is not where they want it to be, and they've got to change something. Now, KB made a big play today, but overall, they've got bigger problems. This team is going south. 4 straight games that they've lost because they're not a good football team anymore. They went from good to now below average. So that's where I'm going to put them. They are a below average football team right now at this juncture, at this point in time. They teeter on that good line. Sometimes they play good. Sometimes they're below. Right now they're headed south. And it's not good when the Texans are playing better football. They've got them on the horizon. The Cowboys are going to be playing for something here in a couple of weeks, depending on what they do to the Eagles this next weekend. And then down in Duval, the Jacksonville Jaguars are a threat. I know it's weird to say, but the Jacksonville Jaguars are a threat. The Tennessee Titans are headed south. And I don't know if they have the structure between the coaches and the roster to head north and get this thing back on track.
Yeah, and I don't know. I agree with you. I think one, very clever, very good one word on your part there to come up with that because, they will be heading south to Jacksonville with the division on the line. But with the Jags team that, as we've mentioned, has just seemingly gotten better and started to figure it out, the Titans just keep coming up with new ways to beat themselves. And that's really what it comes down to, of how infuriating a game like this is when you see how little things can do it. And this is how I felt about these second halves all year. And I know they always point to execution, got to coach better, got to play better. But I watch this game and it's just when you make dumb calls and dumb decisions in give me scenarios, you're going to lose football games. And I don't know what you do about it. I think you just pray that you can beat the Houston Texans, but you're not going to beat Dallas. That team is way too talented, way too good for you to have a chance to beat Dallas. And then, it comes down to one last game against Jacksonville. And so far, they have not showed me that they can turn this thing around to hang with Jacksonville, who keeps getting better and is beating some of the best teams in the league right now.
Jags travel to New York to face the Jets next week, then to Houston to face the Texans. Then they host the Tennessee Titans in a Week 18 divisional showdown that could be for all of the marbles. I want to read a comment. Here's some lunch money for you from Noah. Tannehill is a good quarterback, but his toughness worked against the Titans tonight. Became a statue and punching bag with Daly at left tackle. No man deserves this abuse. Malik was probably the better option in Noah's opinion. I will respectfully disagree with that. Malik Willis was not the better option. Ryan Tannehill got you back into this game, but you had to play differently. And to Noah's point, their offensive line is very, very bad. They're not good. You saw Aaron Brewer play poorly at times. You saw Dennis Daly play poorly at times. Ryan Tannehill, all in the second half, sacked 4 times, and one of those sacks was major because it backed Randy Bullock up into a 52-yard attempt, then probably instead a 40-something yard attempt in a better makeable situation in the game. This offensive line is tough to handle, especially with Ryan Tannehill. Look, guys, we don't know if Ryan Tannehill will be healthy enough to play next week. He toughed it out earlier in the season when he hurt his ankle. You remember? He toughed that out.
Oh, yeah.
But didn't play for 2 straight weeks after that.
Yeah, no, it was the exact same situation. It was against Indianapolis at home where Tannehill finished the game kind of limping around and just kind of toughing it out. And you were like, oh, okay, what a relief that he's fine. And everybody expected him to be out there the next week because he finished the game before. But, you don't have that tape on it or whatever sort of painkiller they gave him in the locker room when he went in there. And that stuff starts to wear off, and then you start moving around and the soreness hits in, the swelling hits in the next day. And you might miss time. So it is realistic to maybe expect that next week, and as you face Texans, Cowboys, and your Jags and stuff, like you might be, I guess it's the other way around. It's Cowboys, then Texans.
No. It goes Texans,
no, I was right. Okay. Texans, then Cowboys, then the Jags. And you go in that order. You might be missing Ryan Tannehill for 1, maybe 2 of those games, but maybe
you got the short week.
The Houston game.
That's the difference. The Cowboys game is on a Thursday night, so you don't get the benefit of that rest. We may see Malik Willis for 2 straight games. We have no idea, and they'll obviously update us, whatever that represents, throughout the course of the week. I have a point that we haven't brought up yet about the Titans offense as a whole, but Tyrus brings up this is a below average roster, especially on offense. So it should be no surprise that the team is where they are currently at. Also a comment coming in from Major Keys, offensive line coaching or talent, they're not in sync. And you saw that in the second half multiple times of them not being in sync and Ryan Tannehill taking hits and taking a sack. Sam, here's what I want to say, unless you want to get to a comment.
This goes off that same comment, right? I mean, Eric says this team isn't awful. It's the injuries that are awful. People forget about that. And I think there's some truth to both of those points. I think, Eric, the injuries certainly make the roster look awful defensively, but offensively, you're missing Treylon Burks. And I guess if you were saying, all right, well, you have Treylon Burks and Taylor Lewan and Kyle Phillips back, then maybe they're not quite as bad, but it's still not a very talented offense, especially when you look at some of the holes at the offensive line. I mean, Nicholas Petit-Frere got beat today for a big sack. Aaron Brewer got beat today for a big sack. Like, it's more than just the left tackle and not having Treylon Burks. There are some flaws in this roster regardless. So, I'll say the roster is not good. And I think that first point by Tyrus is a very good point. It just can be frustrating to see them be so close. And in my opinion, have a couple adjustments that they could make to easily win some of these games or put themselves in a better chance to, and them not taking it. But Zach, I'll let you get to your point that you want to make.
Well, and how healthy can they get? Ryan Tannehill got less healthy today, right? Because of the re-injury to that right ankle. AD brings up David Long Jr. You have been missing Treylon Burks. Danico Autry hasn't been there. I mean, there's some key pieces that are out. Christian Fulton, I mean, that's 3 straight games with 300-yard passer. Sam, I'm going to ask you a question. If the shoe was on the other foot, if the Chargers would have gone down to tie the football game and the Titans would have had the same amount of time to go down and get 3 points, which was exactly 44 seconds. So 40 seconds, they went down. Do you think that the Titans could have gone and kicked a field goal like the Chargers did?
No. No chance. I don't think they would have tried. I think they would have taken a knee and gone to overtime.
That's the problem with this team.
Yeah.
The fact that we both, and the chat, I wasn't even going to ask the chat because it's a rhetorical question. It's no. The answer is no. That's the difference of this football team. And look, they went down without Derrick Henry essentially in that last drive, but then got lucky because they could eventually use Derrick Henry because the Chargers were using timeouts because they knew that they could. It only took 40 seconds to go down and get a field goal range, and that's how their offense is constructed. But the answer is no. If the Titans had that same opportunity, 40 seconds left with 0 timeouts, could they go win the football game like the Chargers did? No. That's why the team has a low ceiling.
Well, and it's among other things, it's the reason why people have had doubts about them in the playoffs, and why even when they were at 7-3 or whatever, 7-3, we were still looking at this team saying, I don't see how they can beat some of these playoff teams come playoff time, because you have to have the ability to go score quick. Go and get yourself quick points, make a big play. And as flawed as the Chargers are at times, and as much as they fail to execute at times, they have Mike Williams, Joshua Palmer, Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, and a probably generational quarterback when his career is said and done in Justin Herbert that can snap their fingers, make 3 passes, and go get you a field goal when you need it the most. And that's what Joe Burrow was able to do and is able to do. It's what Patrick Mahomes is able to do. Josh Allen is able to do. That's what the elite teams in the AFC do. It's what the Titans can't do. It's what they can't even try to do, because they're more likely to shoot themselves in the foot, turn the football over, allow a big sack, have somebody get injured, than they are to make a play downfield and go kick a field goal.
So I want to talk about one thing before we get to passing grades presented by Crumble Cookie. Talk about crumbling there with 40 seconds left to give up a field goal from this Chargers offense in a couple of big plays. Let's talk about a positive here on the Barton Insurance Group Titan postgame show. Chigakonkwo. That guy, Derrick Henry goes over 104 yards. He does what he needs to do. He almost fumbled the football if it wouldn't have been for Ben Jones to jump on that. But Chig, coming up massive. You talk about the big play that we didn't think that they would go down in 40 seconds if the roles were reversed. If they would, it would have been on the heels of 85. Let's give a golf clap to Chigakonkwo. That guy that's something that can give you hope moving forward if you get Burks back and he can be better coming off of a concussion to maybe go upset a team, or in this scenario, beat Jacksonville in Duval County in week 18.
Yeah, and I mean, even if it's not this year, right? And even, I'm still holding out hope that they can manage to salvage this division and allow me to cover a home playoff game in my first season covering the team. That would be something that I think everybody should be rooting for, regardless of whether or not you have high expectations. Making the playoffs is generally a good thing that you want to do. But I think even moving forward, Zach, that is really the silver lining with this Titans team, is seeing how Treylon Burks was progressing and coming along before the concussion that now has him down, unfortunately, but then seeing the growth of Chigakonkwo as well in this offense, and knowing that your new general manager is coming in with an uphill battle and with a lot of work to do, but with 2 rookie playmakers that you think will continue to grow and be legitimate weapons in this offense. And that is, I think, something Titans fans can get excited about, regardless of all the other chaos going on around them. It's like the little meme of the dog sitting in the burning house, but saying, this is fine, everything's fine, just watching Chig run that ball down the field, being like, oh, everything's going to be okay, while the rest of it burns around you.
Yeah, well, look, they're going to have, the crossroads of the season. They've gone down a 4-game stretch where they have lost 4 consecutive games to the Bengals, to the Eagles, to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and today against the Los Angeles Chargers, 17-14. You could say that they were crumbling. Well, let's get to
they are crumbling. I'll go ahead and say the Titans are crumbling. That is for sure.
Well, that gets right into our quarterback grades presented by Crumble Cookie. How do you grade Ryan Tannehill's performance today with the Titans? This is a tough one, right? Because you've got to weight it, right? There's some guts. Bring your own guts by number 17 in fighting down the stretch. But grade Ryan Tannehill. I will you can look at the comments as we get those grades. But first, I do want to tell everybody about Crumble cookies, made fresh daily with over 175 flavors that rotate every week. You can get a gift card for Christmas. It literally is for this holiday season. Go get a Crumble Cookies gift card. It is a perfect stocking stuffer right there. Nearest location. They've got multiple locations in Middle Tennessee. CrumbleCookies.com, and download the app. That's the key. You can buy gift cards right off the app. You can order cookies right off the app. It is simple. Their state-of-the-art app. It's boom, boom, boom. You get your box of cookies. You get a single cookie. You got milk. Milk and cookies right there. Crumble Cookies at a location near you. It is a great gift this holiday season. Go there. Download the app today. That's CrumbleCookies.com. All right, Sam. Hit the chat. How do we grade Ryan Tannehill, or at least how does the chat grade Ryan Tannehill today?
Ryan Tannehill, 15 of 22 today, 165 yards through the air, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. He did have the rushing touchdown at the end of regulation, I guess, before the field goal to temporarily tie the game. So house chat grading him. Well, Jared is giving him a C. Tony says B+. Cameron T says C-. Randy says D. Tim says F. Rick is a C. Jared is a C- now. Robert says C. David is a B. CJ B+. Teddy C+. Chris B+. Let's see. We got D- for toughness. So he doesn't get the F, I think, is what Ty is trying to say there. Kendrell says D. SCP says C+. He was super tough. Sean C+. Wright C+. Zoe Almighty C. Antonio Davis B+. Zach, what grade are you throwing on Ryan Tannehill today for his gutsy, tough, kind of ugly at the same time performance in a Titans loss to the Chargers?
Yeah, it's tough because some of it wasn't his fault. Some of it was, right? The offensive line being a turnstile at times, especially on the left side with Daly. Look, you tried Radens, and then things changed, and you're like, they're throwing spaghetti at the wall, Sam, right?
Well, and it's so unfortunate. You have Dylan Radens out here. You're at the halftime show saying, hey, Dylan Radens had a really good series on that touchdown drive. How about it? Gets hurt. You have to go back to Dennis Daly, and then that ends up coming back to bite you. Like, it is just can't catch a break with that kind of stuff.
No, and that's kind of been the script of this team for some time this season. Ryan Tannehill shouldn't have taken that sack to put him even deeper out of field goal range for Randy Bullock's 52-yard attempt. That's on Ryan Tannehill. But he also had the QB sneak to tie the football game. Now, I'll also credit Derrick Henry pushing him in the back and putting him over the edge. Then his toughness comes into play. He was tough. His stat line, not good. His stat line is pedestrian. So he's going to get a pedestrian grade. I think he put them in position to get to overtime. So I'm going to give him a C+. It's tough on a bum ankle and a bad line to go out there and play. And he was able to do it. It wasn't an A performance. I don't think it was a B performance based on he missed some guys, but I'm going to say C+. Not terrible, but not great.
Yeah, I was going to be kind of in the same area, like a mediocre pedestrian C, but then I saw this comment, and I think I agree with this comment. I love this from Roy, giving him an incomplete, just the old I in the grade book with an incomplete. I have a hard time judging this one, and Zach, unfortunately, I feel like I usually have a hard time grading Ryan Tannehill because I sit back here and say, well, it wasn't pretty, but what else do you want him to do? And did he really have anybody to work with or anybody to throw to? And I'm with Roy on this one. It was incomplete because it was a great effort in terms of his toughness. There were also mistakes with the interception. There were mistakes with the sack that he took that took them out of field goal range.
Some drops that weren't his fault.
Some drops that weren't his fault and stuff that could have changed the game that way. And as you said, the biggest thing for me why I would go incomplete is because I would have liked to see how Ryan Tannehill did in overtime and whether or not he carried it over. And the fact that his defense gave up that last second field goal after he put them in a position to go to OT. It's an incomplete grade to me and an incomplete performance that I don't feel like I can fully judge given everything else around him. That might be a little bit of a cop-out. If I had to give him a letter grade, I'm right with you. I'd probably go more C minus, because I do think there were some negatives that took points off the board. But I'm not too critical of him given the circumstances around him.
Well, that segment is brought to you by Crumble Cookie. The eye, you were getting drug in the chat a little bit, so I'm glad.
Oh, was I?
Yeah, well, just of trying to get a grade, and you said a grade.
C minus. We'll go with that then.
So, this team, where do they turn from here? Because you've got the next 3 games where 2 straight home games against the Texans and the Cowboys, and then in Florida against Jacksonville. It could be a pivotal game to get in the playoffs. And look, we've seen that before, of pivotal games at the end to get into the playoffs. We've seen the Titans win. We've also seen the Titans lose. A handful of years ago, they lost to a really bad Jags team down in Duval to keep their playoff dreams alive. And Jalen Ramsey intercepted Marcus Mariota. He ended up breaking his ankle, not to bring up ankles. But that could be a showdown because the Jags are playing good football. They go to the Jets and to the Texans before hosting the Titans. But this division, Sam, is up for grabs.
Yeah, and it's honestly kind of interesting because I'm not sure any of these games matter, is like the interesting point, or at least the next 2. Unless the Titans were to win both of the next 2 and have the Jags lose both of the next 2, it doesn't really matter what happens because it all come down to that last game. Even if Tennessee were to lose to the Texans and lose to Dallas, and you were to see Jacksonville win both of their games, you're still only back by 1 game playing Jacksonville in Duval in week 18. So, yeah, you've kind of just put yourself in a position where shrug your shoulders. For all I care, go get healthy. Like, play Malik Willis against the Cowboys. I don't care. If it doesn't matter and if it's all coming down to that last game of the regular season, make sure you're healthy for the Jags. Make sure you're healthy for the playoffs as much as you can be. I think that's what we're just going to have to settle for at this point as Titans fans is week 18 is going to be a battle for the AFC South in Jacksonville. And at this point, you just want Ryan Tannehill back as close to 100% as you can. Hopefully, Treylon Burks is back. Hopefully, Danico Autry is back by that time, and you get some of these key playmakers back. That's all I can look for, Zach.
I don't know what, and this is tough to say, I don't know which division leader is worse, the Bucks or the Titans. But
well, I think it's funny because they're on the broadcast saying, who wants to win the NFC South? I'm like, who wants to win the AFC South?
I thought the same thing.
I'm like, this team had it gift wrapped to them and they refused to grab it. So, like, yeah, it's, I don't know.
Well, I think the big storylines heading into this week, and we'll talk tomorrow morning, and we got a lot to talk about this week, but you've got Ryan Tannehill's health. You've got the mindset and the thought process of what this team is internally. You lose 4 straight mentally, probably takes a toll on you. And then, how's Mike Vrabel going to handle this week? Are they going to get guys back? I mean, there's so much to talk about. I do think, Sam, though, it starts with Ryan Tannehill's health. Because if you're playing the next 2 weeks with Malik Willis, that's a different story.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I want them to do that, and I'll go into more detail why I think that you should just play Malik Willis regardless of Ryan Tannehill's health.
And just gear up for week 18, possibly.
But like I said, the tiebreaker for a division, if you are tied, is obviously head-to-head. If you are tied in that, which you would be if the Titans won in week 18, comes down to divisional record. Currently, the Titans are 3-1. Jacksonville is 2-2. So you go into that final game of the season with both of them at 3-2 in the division, assuming Jacksonville beats Houston. And if you were to lose to Houston, And then it all comes down to that game anyway. There's no scenario in which week 18 is not for the division for the Titans at this point. So, why play him? Like, that's my take on it, is why play Ryan Tannehill and let him risk re-injury, serious injury, get everybody healthy. Come talk to me in week 18. If you go 8-9 and make the playoffs, it's ugly, but you're in the playoffs. So,
and you're hosting a playoff game,
which would be, nobody wants to go 8-9 and be the team that's in the playoffs at 8-9, but it's better than, having a serious injury or just not making it at all because you went into that game not at 100%.
You're absolutely right. This has been the Barton Insurance Group post-game show here live with our Titans reporter, Sam Phelan. I want to thank all of our sponsors for this game day, from pregame, halftime, and postgame, including our title sponsor of our pregame show, Buddy Allen Carpet One, always giving you free in-home measures and estimates at BuddyAllenCarpet1Nashville.com. Mr. Goodroof, locally owned roofing, gutters, and window specialists. You can get, and this is great for Mr. Goodroof, you could win a free roof during the holiday season, MrGoodroof.com. BetMGM, download the BetMGM app. A to Z Sports is your promo code. Get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. Crumble Cookies, as we talked about, the Titans crumbling in the last 4 weeks on a 4-game skid, but they are made fresh daily with over 175 flavors. And Barton Insurance Group, of course, the title sponsor of this post-game show, Middle Tennessee's premier insurance provider for both personal, home, and auto coverage, including A to Z Sports and me personally, because of Erie Insurance. That's one of their providers. They help us as a company, and they help me personally with my home and auto. That's Barton Insurance Group, LLC.com. Sam, any final thoughts, any final words before we get out of here? Or are we waiting on Vrabel, Tannehill, Derrick Henry, and that post-game press conference to see what they're saying?
Yeah, that's what we're waiting on. Keep an eye out for that on A to Z Sports Twitter, and then as our post-game articles and trickle out here later tonight, tomorrow morning, you'll hear some of my thoughts on the state of the Titans and where we go from here. So make sure you're keeping an eye out for those.
A to Z Sports, you got coverage on YouTube. Subscribe on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. We've got post-game, as we said, live shows. A to Z Sports.com will have articles and opinions. So keep it locked there. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Adios.